The world we live in isn't ours alone. As we humans perform the tasks set before us, billions of other inhabitants carry out their own. Most of them are so small we don't even notice their work. Not even their struggle for survival. These creatures live in a world unknown to most of us, revealed only by special optics and microphotography. They're all vital members of life on our planet, with a perspective very different from our own. Many to whom a drop of water could form their entire world. Just like us, they live in our homes. Right under our very noses, they feed on our clothes. Gourmet insects feast on our prized literature and on the plants we lovingly nurture. They feed on each other, and they even feed on us. This is their jungle, well known to them, but to us, an unknown world. The human hair inhabited by microscopical monsters such as lice and mites. The truth is, billions of tiny hitchhikers see our body as their home. Many would love to go hunting inside us if we didn't stop them. This is what keeps them out. Our armor of skin here in the smooth and humid furrows of the palm. Our skin is specially designed for each part of our body. If you look close enough, there's a whole world to discover. A world filled with various landscapes and climates. The chest and its overgrown jungle. Our scalp, a tropical rainforest. And here, the fertile hillsides of the forearm. But there are also dry and desolate deserts, such as the inside of the wrist. And here are the wastelands of the foot sole. The body we think we know is an illusion. It's not ours alone, but one we share with millions of other organisms. Most of them are bacteria like these. A microscopic swarm in a common drop of sweat. The hair follicle mite living in our scalp is one of our closest companions. He lives in the little holes of our skin through which our hair grows. This little parasitic monster is only 1/10 of a millimeter long. Fortunately, too small for our nerves to detect. Otherwise, we'd be scratching constantly. Mites are particularly fond of the large follicles of our eyelashes. They thrive on fat and dirt, and seem to have even developed a taste for mascara. The skin is our first line of defense against microorganisms. The slightest cut becomes a gateway to the body's blood vessels for lethal intruders. The body's defense is immediately alarmed and begins a remarkable healing process. Gushing blood cells are checked by a net of microscopical threads called fibrin. The net forms in seconds thanks to a complicated chemical process. The process reminds us of a kind of natural two-component glue. The blood coagulates and eventually forms the scab. Skin cells divide again and again to form a first thin layer of skin beneath the scab. Layers are then built up from beneath. In this way, the skin is constantly renewed by new cells at the bottom, pushing the older ones to the surface. The surface is composed of dead, compacted cells. Every hour, we shed 1.5 million flakes of used skin. Flying carpets from our body with a colony of hitchhiking bacteria aboard. The air is full of these small pieces of ourselves. What we see of each other is only a layer of dead cells on their way to falling off and being gone with the wind.
How do I look?
Absolutely beautiful.
Over 90% of the dust on our floors is made up of dead skin cells, not to mention the army of small monsters that live on them. This is a portrait of a dust mite, seen through an electron microscope. It's about 1/3 of a millimeter long, impossible to see with the naked eye. The dust mite's primary food is dead skin flakes, and there's more than enough to go around. It's a never-ending feast, and we're the purveyors. Here we see a hungry dinner guest. His table manners could use some refining. There's no getting away from them. Even in our beds, they keep us company. They move with ease through the weave of blankets and sheets in search of more culinary delights. They scavenge when we're awake and when we sleep, insatiable, inescapable. But why not go to the source? Our skin is covered with dead cells just waiting to be harvested. But they're not just parasitic guests from the unknown world, but members of an army of sanitation workers. They play an essential role in the ecological process, turning biological waste into food. And so, when we eat breakfast, they eat breakfast. But there are other decomposition workers in our homes, each with a taste for organic material. To them, our home is no different from any other place in nature when it's time to sit down and study the menu.
See you tonight, darling. I'll be home by 6.
This isn't a closet, it's a restaurant for insect gourmets. The holes attest to their dining. These small white larvae of the common clothes moth are especially fond of wool and fur. They look upon our clothes as only dead animal skins that need to be broken down to nourishment and minerals. When they grow up, they become moths that supply eggs for the next generation. But wool and cotton aren't the only things on the menu. There's also a tasty fur coat, which the fur beetle swears by. It lives deep in the fibers of the fur, where it lays its eggs. For the yellowish-brown larvae that hatch, home is also breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Perhaps they use their beautiful orange tail as camouflage. They move using their 3 pair of legs and jointed body. Between their eyes are powerful jaws which saw off the hair fibers, while the legs hold them secure. Fur beetles are discreet animals and seldom seen. We only see the results of their work among our clothing. They're just trying to perform what they were born to do, while we become enraged that they can't see the difference between junk and the things we hold dear. Even here in the library, amidst literary giants, a legion of ravenous creatures is waiting for us to turn our backs. To them, books are but old dead wood, no different from a stump or a fallen branch. Poetry or history, Homer or Shakespeare, it doesn't matter to them. These are just succulent delicacies to try. The silverfish is an ancient organism that hasn't changed much in the last 500 million years or so, apart from its literary interest, that is. It's about a centimeter long and prefers old yellowed paper. With the help of an enzyme, it turns the cellulose of the paper into food. Unfortunately, it's quite illiterate, making no distinction between Hamlet and yesterday's newspaper. But literature has its own aficionado in the insect world. The pseudoscorpion, a miniature predator constantly on the prowl. It lives on a diet of book lice, another paper eater who threatens our books. The louse is killed by the poison secreted from the claws of the pseudoscorpion. Then the scorpion is off to his next victim, wherever it may be, browsing. Even where we least expect it, the ecological cycle is in full swing. Here, at the Museum of Natural History, is an unknown world of hungry organisms. Taxidermied animals, long dead, are food for the living. In the lion's fur, the microscopic museum beetle is busy admiring the taxidermist art. The museum beetle is a close relative of the fur beetle, with similar taste, but only half the size. These hairy little larvae just love the protein in hair and feathers and never say no to dirt and fat. It eats delicately, one hair at a time, but in the long run, it's the scourge of every curator. The museum beetle doesn't limit itself to stuffed lions. It's a cultural omnivore and savors all sorts of collections and exhibits. Dried insects are a prime target. The museum beetle has no respect for science. A rare beetle is just another snack. An insect collection that took decades to assemble can be ravaged in days. Not that most of these specimens wouldn't have done the same, given the chance. But there is more here to eat than just dead animals. In the exhibition cases, another creature is busy taking care of fallen trees. That trees cut down decades ago are now the framework of cases and cabinets really doesn't bother them in the least. These holes signal the presence of an army of tiny wood eaters. Beneath the surface, you can find an endless system of tunnels and the creatures that made them. The white larva of the old house boar will stick around as long as there is wood left to gnaw on. This is the old house boar's colleague, the carpenter ant, who seeks shelter rather than food. It tunnels in order to build its nest. The ants remove the soft timber, leaving behind only the harder material. But the unknown world is also inhabited by other citizens, the smallest of them all, the microorganisms. Millions of bacteria of different sizes and shapes. Bacteria are the simplest forms of independent life. They consist of a single cell, which is only about 1,000th of a millimeter long. They exist practically everywhere. There are about 100,000 billion bacteria living on and in our own body. In our intestines, for instance, live innumerable benevolent bacteria, helping us decompose organic material. They combine with stomach fluids and enzymes to break down food into nutrients. This salad from lunch will need their help when it makes its way through the digestive tract. Even though many bacteria help our bodies, there are quite a number that would destroy us. And it might seem strange the way we joyfully share our bacteria with the one we love. Here, in the rugged enamel surface of the teeth, a constant war is waged against armies of caries and other bacteria. Cavities and plaque, the result of these attacks. Enzymes in our saliva usually keep them in check, but if we forget to brush, the battle may be lost. Here, bacteria move among the cells of the mouth, swimming down microscopic rivers in the mucous membranes. They thrive in the teeth's rough surfaces, where a toothbrush can't reach. A single bacterium that breaks into our body can divide itself into 1 million new bacteria in just 8 hours. Without a powerful defense system, we would never survive such an onslaught. Luckily, billions of defense cells constantly patrol our bodies. Often, but not always, stronger than our microscopic enemies. The first wave of troops are the macrophages. That literally means the big eaters. Hundreds of thousands of them patrol the blood vessels and lymphatic system, ready to attack. With long retrieving arms, they capture bacteria and kill them. Macrophages deal with invaders by simply eating them. They can tell a bacterium from a normal body cell just by scanning its surface. The cell's chemical structure reveals whether it's friend or foe, to be left alone or devoured. Macrophages literally eat themselves to death, taking the trespassers with them. Together, millions of dead immune cells and their victims make up the substance we call pus. These asbestos fibers that entered the body through the tiny capillaries of the lungs are being taken care of by macrophages. They even eat other defenders who have fallen at their posts. Moving through the heart and the blood vessels, the defense cells strive constantly to keep us healthy. But not every battle is won. Some invaders are extremely difficult to deal with. Only 1/100th the size of a bacterium, theirs is a complicated and effective method of killing: the viruses. They consist of a sort of genetic computer program surrounded by a shell of protein. Here, they are recreated using electronic microphotography, visible as blue dots on the cell's surface. They target our cells, force their way into the cell nucleus, and program the cells to make more virus, copies of themselves. This is a reconstruction of the interior of a cell. The red structures are mitochondria, the power plants of the cell, and the yellow balls are ribosomes, producing proteins. And now, hidden inside is an enemy factory hard at work. When the cell has made enough copies of the virus, it dies. And thousands of new viruses leave in search of new cells to invade. This is what happens when we catch a cold, and far worse diseases. A cell nucleus is seen here in the middle. Surrounding it are viruses. The smaller mitochondria are still working away, protected inside the cell membrane. But their fate is already sealed. Using a unique photographic process, we can now catch the viruses in the act of entering the cell. Here, about 100 of them are grouped on the cell's surface. Then suddenly, as if on a given signal, they force their way through the membrane. A few days later, they leave the dead cell in thousands. The body's most important weapon in the war against viruses are the lymphocytes. Speedy and advanced defense cells, they bombard the enemy with ammunition called antibodies. Here, they're visible as a corona surrounding the cell. But as effective as these lymphocytes are, they are no match for the viral disease we call AIDS, the most feared plague of our time. This is HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. The deadly virus uses lymphocytes themselves as host cells to make copies of itself. So the cell we count on to kill the enemy becomes instead its first victim. The virus spreads and we die. In the tropic regions of our world, another group of microscopical enemies lurk. Around here, they do more damage than all the others combined, affecting animals as well as humans, the parasites. This little worm is responsible for about 200 million cases of snail fever around the world. It begins its life cycle in water, in the stomach of an ordinary snail. The parasite larvae wait patiently for another host animal to come by, like the foot of a human being. The larvae then leave the snail and penetrate the skin of the foot. Inside our blood vessels, the larvae mature into worms. Stuck to the walls of the arteries and veins, they feed on the blood flowing by. With their circle-shaped mouths, they suck up and swallow blood cells from the stream. The female parasite is thinner than the male and lives attached to his body. Their microscopic eggs are then carried away by the bloodstream. They leave our body with the urine, making their way to new waterholes and other snails, and in this way, completing the cycle. But even if snail fever doesn't get you, there's another disease that might. It's carried by a small mosquito. In the mosquito's saliva glands live a microscopical parasite that causes malaria. When the mosquito bites, the parasite is injected through the skin and into the bloodstream. It lives among our red blood cells, feeding upon them and reproducing in them. The blood cells die, and the young parasites pour out to be sucked up by other mosquitoes, which then bite other people and animals, spreading the disease further. The fight for survival of the species binds all creatures on Earth together, microorganisms as well as humans and animals. The struggle to eat or be eaten is universal. From this perspective, the unknown micro-world is no different from our own. Sometimes we're the ant, and sometimes we're the beetle. The trick, of course, is to be the predator, not the prey. In the background, we see a large butterfly larva. It's just been chosen for dinner by this land bug. He's just waiting for the right moment to strike. Now he's ready and goes in for the kill. He brings forth his deadly lance. To eat or be eaten, it's no different from the war raging within our bodies between viruses, bacteria, and our own immune system. The winner takes it all. Sometimes the fight stands between individuals from the same species. These two male stag beetles, only a couple of centimeters large, fight over a female. The unique lens of the camera makes them appear as prehistoric dinosaurs fighting for life and death. A deadly cut in the neck shield ends the fight. The winner seizes the opportunity to share his posterity with the female waiting beside the battlefield. His reproductive organ forces its way beneath the shield. The survival of the fittest rules the evolution of the unknown world, as it does our own. Sometimes it's animal versus animal, and sometimes it's animal versus plant. These ants have learned to form themselves into chains, drawing the giant fern leaf together. The result is a nest, food and shelter in one neat package. The fern is helpless to resist, but there are other plants that can give as good as they can get, and then some. Turnabout is fair play in the unknown world. This ant has picked the wrong plant to eat. Now he's the meal. Other plants have developed less deadly methods of keeping intruders out. The digitalis leaf is really an obstacle course for the insect foolish enough to land. Each fiber has a sac of glue at the end, a sac that burst on contact, much to the dismay of these aphids. On the potato plant, the fibers are so long that insects get tangled well above the surface. This aphid can't reach the leaf to suck up its juice. But other insects, like this plant bug, have adapted. Special claws allow it to walk across the hairy surface of the leaf. We humans, however, rarely pay attention to the struggles in the unknown world, if we ourselves are not at risk. But all we have to do is look a little closer. Living among us are a myriad of creatures who care not that nature is a flower pot. The same drama of the African savanna is played out here, only with humbler protagonists. These aphids are sucking the sap from a leaf. The aphid swells as it drinks its fill. A couple of small tubes sit on the back of the insect. That's very handy for these ants, who treat the aphids like cattle, herding them from pasture to pasture. The sap-filled aphid is milked by ants, much as we do cows. Other insects see aphids as animals fit only for slaughter. Here is a spotted monster feasting on grazing aphids. And this red predator mite isn't just hitching a ride. Another aphid is the target of this hoverfly larva, which literally sucks the life out of it. Before it leaves the empty shell behind. All organisms play their part in the cycle of life, where death and decay bring new life. There can be no spring without the fall. This holds true for our world as well as the unknown. The more we study the various worlds of our planet, the more clearly we see the correlation between them. The only difference is one of perspective. But even that can change with the use of new photographic techniques. We can see nature through the eyes of a rhinoceros beetle if we choose. And we can also be grateful we aren't his size. We can learn by coming down from our lofty perches to see the small, the overlooked, the insignificant. Tiny teachers with a different point of view. We can learn a lot about our own biology by studying the unknown world. In every pool of water, there are creatures who are linked to our own beginning. Organisms like these are all distant relatives to the cells that comprise our body. They tell about the way life developed, how animals and humans once began their story. Here we find representatives of the first primitive life forms that through billions of years gave us all species of today. We can study our body functions in tiny transparent animals. Less than a millimeter long, a water flea reveals how she gives birth to living children in her world, a microscopic version of our own reproductive system. Above the eggs of the next generation, we see her green, narrow digestive tract and the heart serving her circulatory system. The processes which govern our bodies can also be found in the ground we walk. Beneath our feet lie our entire organism and history, only written with other signs. The tunnel of the ant and other insects are but a version of our own circulatory system. Veins and arteries in the soil making possible the flow of life, the transfer of nutrients. A common earthworm can give us a better understanding of our own immune system. Inside its body is the same endless struggle between attacker and defender. In the soil beneath our feet, our digestive system is revealed. Here, leaves, grass, and dead animals are changed into nutrients for new lives. In the soil of just one footprint, we find millions of different decomposers. Here is the home of over 19,000 tiny mites. Larvae, and 100,000 microscopic worms like these, and millions of bacteria. The tiny workers of the soil have learned to perform the art of recycling and harvest much more efficiently than we ourselves will ever be capable of. Without these decomposers, life on Earth would cease, leaving behind only dead creatures and plants to lay where they fell for eternity. The end of one story is also the beginning, as insects and bacteria turn death into life. Flies lay eggs, which hatch larvae. Ants, wasps, and beetles arrive on the scene, along with their colleagues. A process that takes a couple of weeks is here compressed into half a minute. In 14 days, what was once a beautiful dove has been broken down by an army of organisms until only a pile of feathers is left. And yet, everything remains, only in a different form. Other animals and plants are using the dove to build new life. The soil receives back what it has given and passes it on again. A cycle of water. A cycle of night and day. A cycle of seasons. What may seem to be the end of one life is really only the beginning of another. And so our world meets the unknown world every day. On our skin they meet, and on the surface of our teeth, in scientific collections, and in our pond they meet. In our garden, both worlds meet, as well as in our own bloodstream, for better and for worse. And so it becomes clear that our world and the unknown world are inseparable and really one and the same.